I do not want to make this video, but here we are. Prices were lower when Trump was president. Does that mean Trump was good for the economy, or is it more complex than that? And please remember two things. One, this is fact-based, and two, for all the freedom of speech people out there who coincidentally are usually the ones to tell me, hey, shut up about politics and just stick to the stock market. I promise this is related to the stock market. When Obama was elected, you might remember that our economy wasn't doing so hot. His plans led to economic growth, job creation, and low inflation. We had improved consumer confidence, a stabilized workforce, and access to health care. And then Trump gets elected and he says we're going to do two things here. One, we're going to cut corporate tax rates from 35% to 21% permanently. And we're going to have a temporary tax cut for the middle class. The key word is temporary, and this is important, and we will discuss it later on in the video. All of these tax cuts were great for the stock market. Corporate profits skyrocketed, buybacks also skyrocketed. Trump also was a big fan of cutting regulations. Again, great for Wall Street, not great for consumer protections and market stability. And let's not forget about the tariffs that he imposed on China and steel, which created more problems for US consumers. But we're going to get the tariffs in a little bit. And of course, we wrap things up with COVID. Caused our supply chain to absolutely collapse, which caused inflation to spike during the recovery. But Trump wasn't president anymore for that. But you know who was around to catch all the blame? Joe Biden. So let's talk about him. When Biden takes over, he has one goal in mind, and that is economic recovery. But his policies were kind of like a double-edged sword. So it kind of helped, but it kind of made problems worse. Remember when Joe Biden started sending out those stimulus checks? I think maybe they were around like $1,400 or $1,500. And I think he sent out 3, but someone will correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Well, suddenly as things begin to improve and people can go back outside again, people start spending money. There's only one problem with this, or two problems, or a couple of problems. One, our workforce was severely diminished globally. Two, our supply chain was still pretty weak. And the combination of these things, with people spending but not a lot of workers and a broken down supply chain, meant that the prices skyrocketed. But they also extended unemployment benefits, which many perceived to be great, and others said, well, if I'm making this much on unemployment, I'm not going back to work. Fewer people, more demand, inflation. And then you have the corporations who are looking around and they're anticipating higher costs, self-fulfilling prophecy. They raise the prices. Don't forget corporate greed in all of this. So we start with Obama, who had a very strong economy. Trump inherits the strong economy and proceeds to cut taxes, deregulate. We have COVID, we have supply chain. And then Joe comes in and he inherits a mess. He inherits a lot of problems. He tries to fix some of them. He catches blame. Maybe justifiably for some things, maybe not justifiably for others. And now we have these middle-class tax cuts set to expire in 2025. And if Harris is the president, who do you think is going to get blamed for middle-class taxes going up? I want to talk a little bit more about these tariffs because this is a big part of Trump's policy for his re-election campaign. When he was president, he slapped over $360 billion worth of tariffs on China. And it was on stuff that we buy. Clothes, shoes, appliances, household goods, and businesses passed the costs on to us, the consumer. So all of a sudden, we started paying more for things. Trump also imposed tariffs on things like steel and aluminum, which we use to build cars and appliances and stuff for construction. And as a result, prices on those things went up. You wonder why cars were so expensive. Clothes and shoes were more expensive. Cell phones were more expensive. If your dishwasher broke, it was more expensive to replace it. And if all of this stuff was stressing you out and you just needed a glass of French wine and maybe some cheese, well, Trump imposed tariffs on French imports or European imports as well. Unrelated to these tariffs, but it's worth mentioning here since we are talking about food, the war in Ukraine, Russia, Ukraine also caused price instability with fertilizer and grains, which made food prices also go up. Maybe Trump's intention with these tariffs was good. It was to strengthen US industries and make more stuff here, but the end result was that we ended up paying way more for stuff. And I did say that towards the end of the video we would talk about taxes, so let's talk about them. The tax cuts for corporations from 35 to 21% were permanent. The tax cuts on the middle class were not permanent. They were temporary, set to expire in 2025. Now, if Harris is the president but doesn't control the House and the Senate, who do you think is going to catch the blame for middle class taxes going up? Higher taxes for us means that we spend less, which means slower economic growth. It can impact the stock market directly. To wrap this whole thing up, how does this relate to the stock market? I'm going to tell you right now. The other day, I got this comment under one of my posts on Instagram where the guy said, hey, I don't understand much, but I do know this. When Trump was president, things were cheaper. When Biden was president, things are more expensive. Under Barack Obama, we had stimulus packages, bailouts, the S&P 500 nearly tripled, we had Dodd-Frank, which helped with regulations, making things easier for us as consumers, and it helped the stock market stay strong. Trump gets elected, he cuts corporate taxes, stocks go up, corporate profits go up. Great! But his tariffs create market uncertainty. Tech stocks drop, agriculture stocks drop. COVID comes through and markets tank and then immediately recover. And then Biden comes in swinging. Heavy spending increases consumer confidence, but supply chain and inflation take a big toll. Concern of the interest rates and what's going to happen mean tech stocks get hit pretty hard, and energy stocks and finance stocks do very well. If Trump's tax cuts expire with no resolution, we could see lower consumer spending, maybe lower unemployment, maybe lower corporate profits, definitely a pullback in the markets. Presidential policies can take years to materialize. A strong economy from one president can be inherited by another president. A mess from one president can be passed on to another. Which again, I will use to emphasize comments like this. Now we understand why maybe things are a little bit more expensive. Now this is the part of the video where I would normally say, smash that follow, but I have a feeling that I'm going to be getting a lot of comments from people saying, I'm unfollowing you. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.